Welcome to the Modeling Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Pollard, the photographer and creator of Studio 713. And today we are going to interview model actress Jasmine Wright, who in just a few short years has been able to work with major artists including Doja Cat, Chris Brown, The Weeknd, Big Sean, Justin Bieber, just to name a few. But not only that, but she's been featured in campaigns with Burger King, Amazon, Netflix show All American, and to top it all off, has been featured not once but twice during the Super Bowl in a national TV commercial. I'm so excited to have her here today. Everyone, please welcome Jasmine Wright. All right, Jasmine, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here on our podcast today. I'm excited to actually show our audience more and more about you and your experiences. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me, especially considering that we go way back. So it's very exciting for both of us.
Yeah, it's good that you're probably one of the first that I've actually have a personal relationship with, that I've known you for a long time, and I've
Right.
personally have seen your growth from,
No,
kind of
same,
getting started to seeing where you're at now. So congratulations on
same.
everything you've been doing. It's really exciting to see everything you've accomplished in just a few years, actually.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I could say the same for you. I remember when I first met you, one of our first conversations was about how you were, getting into photography and kind of trying to find your way to looking at your work now is a huge difference. So being able to see the growth in real time is pretty cool.
Absolutely. So cheers to consistency, right?
No, right. Big, big facts.
So, for those that don't know you just yet, or maybe don't know your whole story, just tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get started with modeling, and what really inspired you to pursue this as a career?
Well, I started modeling, I want to say I was 15 going on 16. I got my first headshots done in Los Angeles. Um, and I don't know, I went from one day wanting to be a trauma surgeon in high school to just realizing like, man, I have a lot of personality. I'm into so much, so many things outside of school, like fashion and music. And um, I kind of got pulled into runway through a hair salon that I was going to. They kind of almost found me per se in Sacramento. They put me in their first show at 17, did my hair, a whole like makeover. My hair was like fire engine red. And I did my first runway show with them. And from that moment on, I had kind of built like this little confidence and like, okay, this is something I definitely want to pursue. The only reason why I hadn't really gotten a chance to pursue it sooner than that, even through childhood, was because I was the oldest child by like 10 years. So, that's a lot for two parents to kind of have to, um, you know, maintain, trying to put a child into, sports and athletics and modeling and all this stuff. It's expensive, it's time consuming. So I didn't get a chance to really pursue it the way I wanted to until I was kind of, on my way to being an adult. So that was my first real opportunity. And from there, I kind of just been chasing it ever since. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have a 9-year-old daughter myself, and it's
Hmm.
just me and her. So it's
Yeah.
a little easier. Sometimes I
Yeah.
think
You could put a
about,
little more time and energy. Yeah.
right. She doesn't understand how spoiled she is.
No, seriously, I was 10 by the time, my other siblings came, and it changes everything. So when you can take that time to pour into your child and it being like your main focus, like that's super cool.
And from those beginning stages, I know you've had a lot of ups and downs, some
Mhm,
challenges, and you actually were able to transition into being a full-time model at
mhm.
some point as well. So, what is that like being a full-time model? Because I know a lot of people watching this, like that's goals, right? They want to leave
Right.
their job, they want to just take pictures and do videos and all these things just all day,
Mhm.
every day. What is that
Right.
lifestyle really like?
It's terrible. It's stressful as hell. Highly, highly don't recommend. But no, on like seriously, it's great, but you're your own boss, you know what I mean? If you are lazy one day, that's the day that you're not getting a check, you're not getting a booking, it's all up to you. Um, and it's as cliche as it is, it's all the truth. It's just like being a business owner. Like, this is your brand, this is your your storefront, and if you're not putting yourself out there, then you're not going to get any work. So it was something that I had to learn very quickly. But I was really hungry, and I was just really in this, like, kind of like that teenage angst where you're just like, like, I want to do this, I want to figure it out. um and so when I moved back to LA, I was fed up. COVID had hit. It was a lot going on in the modeling industry, things were slow. And I was just ready to get away from, like, the 9 to 5 thing. Just busting my butt to survive and not getting what I want out of life. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna do this for full time. So I was booking modeling roles, acting roles, all kind of stuff, anything that would pay a decent rate, and also still be conducive to my growth and my resume. So I'm definitely still picky, choosy when I do get roles. Like, I'll turn down roles like all the time if I don't feel like I'm interested, or if it doesn't suit me, or if it's not something that's going to be tasteful for me. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a difficult journey. You have to stay grounded, you got to stay humble. There's days where you're like, man, I killed it, I made good money this month or this week or whatever. And then you might want to go and splurge or hang out or whatever. And that, but like I said, those are days and dollars that you don't know when the next dollar is going to come, you don't know when the next booking is going to come. So you have to be very grounded and very focused. And it will definitely make you grow up a little faster, as
I've
far
heard.
as if you haven't gotten, you know, submerged into the industry yet, you'll figure it out quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does someone find opportunities? Where do you go? Are you on websites? Or is there apps? Is there just by name basis and referrals? Like, where do you
Yeah.
find the jobs?
So I mostly book work through casting networks. Actors Access is a big one. Also, Backstage was really good to me. Those are like my three main sites that I use. But also, because of the work that I've done, a lot of things that I've booked were booked based on my previous work experience. Or they'd seen my profile on one of these sites and they vetted me out directly. Or even my Instagram page. Sometimes people will contact me and email me because my contact information is there. I'll get stuff like that as well. Like, hey, I saw your profile. We're doing a short film, or we're doing this. We'd really love if, to see if you're interested. And I'll kind of just go through the vetting process if it's something like that where they reached out to me directly. But yeah, I use those apps. It's very popular out here in Los Angeles, and like San Francisco. When you're in the modeling and acting industry, those sites are very popular here. So um, if you put good shots up and put some reels and stuff up, you'll definitely get contacted for sure.
Tell me about a time, or some of your most proud of accomplishments, because I know you've been doing a lot and you've been very humble on this journey, and you haven't been sharing too much online. But
Yeah.
pull back the curtain here. What are some things that you've done that it's like, wow, I can't believe I'm in this room with these people, or just
Yeah.
walked away like, wow, I'm really at this level now.
Yeah, when I was kind of thinking last night about our interview, I was like, dang, what are some things that I'm proud of? Or, because I'm one of those people that's kind of hard on myself. Like, a huge accomplishment to the people around me in my head is like, all right, what's next? Like, I gotta, like, that's not even a big deal to me because I'm chasing something, I'm chasing a bigger picture. But to other people, it's like, wait, slow down.
Yeah.
And so I realized my relationship with Trinidad James, working for him, was a huge blessing. I got to step into so many doors and opportunities. And then also my ad that made it to the Super Bowl and made it to be syndicated nationally. Those, I think, were two of my um, pretty largest accomplishments and accomplishments I'm most proud of. Um, I got to go to a celebrity basketball game and go to all these different events with him and speak to people. I was like standing next to Chris Brown, like literally like feet in front of me, Tyga was like on one side of me, Drake's across the thing, like I can see him clearly, like it's just crazy. And these are people that we admire, like, oh man, I just wish I could meet Drake one day. I'm like a
Yeah.
huge fan, and he's just standing over there watching this game casually with his friends. And so it really put into perspective, like, wow, like I'm officially kind of like in a room with people that like I wouldn't be outside of like my connections. And now I'm starting to build a network of my own. And so that to me is really kind of put a lot into perspective for me, like how much work that I have done to put myself in that place. And like I said, the ad that made it to the Super Bowl, that was really kind of eye opening for me. Is I wasn't expecting it, and it blew up. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and it's so funny, this the Super Bowl commercial, because we don't talk very often, maybe,
Yeah.
talking like this verbally,
Right.
once every year, maybe every couple of years,
Right.
and, but I know you personally, so I'm
I
watching the
know.
game, and I'm like, I think I know her, and then they showed your face again, I'm like, "That's definitely her," and,
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if I, like, reached down to my phone to, like, contact you in some way, but, I remember, like, just, silently clapping, like, "Wow, that's
Yeah.
what's up." So,
Yeah. It's
even that
crazy.
experience in itself,
Mhm.
being in a Super Bowl commercial, so
Yeah.
tell us a story about that. How did you get there? What was the result? What's the details?
Yeah. It's still unreal to me sometimes, until people say it to me, and like they'll give kind of like accolades or tell me like what you said, like, I'm like, I'm proud, like that's really cool. And I'm like, dang, like that is kind of a big deal. People work their lives to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, um, to rewind, I remember it being just like a regular booking. Everything was kind of normal. I submitted to a small role, and the rate was decent for the role. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. It's just a little quick ad, whatever. And then they contacted me about other small ads. So I was like, oh, if this will be a continuous thing, like I'm totally down. So I actually went on set and realized, oh man, this client is the Church of Scientology. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. That's very odd. I'm not sure what kind of ad this is going to be. I'm almost considering pulling out at this point because, like I mentioned, I'll pick and choose what I'm going to be involved or attached to. I don't care who it is, what it is. I'm going to not do it if I'm not comfortable, or if it's going to compromise my integrity.
Yeah.
So, I was like, you know what? They're very nice. They were explaining what they were looking for, and I was like, okay, so far this sounds like something I can do. So I get ushered to my own fitting room, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like they sure know how to treat somebody. Like this is really cool." Like I've never had a fitting room, even doing larger roles, it's just show up, throw you in clothes and makeup and send you on set. So they treated me so good. Had this super nice fitting room. And when I got on set, I honestly, it was one of the best sets I've ever worked with. The director and the entire team were super hands-on and patient, and wanted to make sure I was comfortable, and they thoroughly explained everything. It was really a really good set to work with. And so we shot this ad, and it was my first time crying on set. It was just a lot of firsts, I guess.
Yeah.
And like intentionally crying on set and pushing myself to that limit, to that kind of like almost darkness where you have to draw that energy. And it was really intense, very intense, super quiet in the room. Everything's dark. I could barely see them. I just see kind of like this light shining on me. And it was like almost um like what's the word? Kind of almost like a foreshadowing of now.
Mhm.
Um and so anyway, we do the ad. Things go well, months go by. I forget all about it almost at this point, and then I'm on the set for the weekend music video, and I'm leaving, sitting in the car, just like, not in the mood to leave yet. And so I go just kind of scrolling through my emails, and then I see this email with the subject that says, congratulations, and I'm like, what the hell kind of spam email is this? What is this? I open it, and they're telling me, like, oh my gosh, your ad is going to be aired in the Super Bowl tomorrow. Congratulations. You should be proud. And it tells me like the two times it's going to air. And I'm like, "What the hell?" Like, I know where the email came from. It's from the person who booked me, so I know it's not spam, but it
Right.
was just, like, very surreal. I couldn't believe it. Um, and so that was the official moment that I found out. I was in tears. I could barely drive home. I had to pull over, like, 3 times. I was this, like, snotty-nosed mess, and, first person, of course, I called was my mom. We're extremely close, and I was, like, shaking, explaining this to her. So yeah, it was a really big moment for me in my career, and, it just kinda goes to show you never know when something is going to kinda come full circle, you know? It went from a first, "Oh my god, fitting room," to, like, this is now gonna be national, you know? So yeah, it was a really big deal. Very shocking, but, one of my proudest accomplishments considering how it happened, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you. It was pretty
so
cool.
from that point, was there a huge surge of just opportunities and emails and phone calls trying to book you from that time forward?
Yeah, so it took me, I wanna say, a couple weeks to put it on my casting networks, and from the moment that I added that ad, I was getting booked, like, easily. Like, I wasn't having to put as much, work, like, as far as self-taping and stuff, like, I was getting, like, instant bookings, like, "Hey, we want you," and I'm like, "Dang, that's weird," like, I don't know if they know where this ad came from, but maybe the quality of it is kind of I'm not sure, but when I added it, it definitely, provided me with like a almost like a foolproof, like resume. Like I was able to just get books like easily. So that was definitely a blessing. I was excited about that. And I think it gave me a little bit of what's the word? Like credibility, a little bit more
Yeah.
credibility, because that's actually how I met one of the or the founder of the Writers Boot Camp. He comes into my job pretty often, and was just one day was like, "What do you do? Outside of here? Like, I've been coming in here. You're cool. I like your personality. What do you actually do?" And what's your passions? He's like digging picking my brain and trying to see what I'm about. And I explained to him and I showed him the ad, and he was like blown away, like, "Oh my gosh, this is great. I love it." He handed me his card and he was like, "I can't believe I've never known this, that you act and do all this stuff. Come to some of my stuff. I'm gonna email you." And so now him and I have formed a good relationship. We speak, regularly, and I'm going to be going to some of his events, and that's a big deal. Like the Writers Boot Camp is a well-known actors resource out here in Los Angeles, and to meet the creator of that, and he just so casually put it out there. He's like, "Oh yeah, I created it, but that's neither here nor there, really." And I'm like, all right, dude, like you're only the main guy in this room right now, but okay, so yeah, it was pretty cool. It opened my door up to a different level for sure.
You mentioned that on the set of that, Super Bowl commercial, that was your first
Mhm.
time crying intentionally. Has
Yeah.
there been some struggling moments where you're feeling frustrated and maybe on the break of, giving up on a modeling career? What are some of the challenges you've experienced?
Yeah, man, I feel like my life has been very interesting in many ways. Um, and it's almost interesting to the point where I know I'm gonna make it because of these things have happened.
Mhm.
Um, but I've had a lot of physical accidents. I've had a lot of emotional and physical tests, over the span of my career, to where I thought I would physically not ever be able to model again. So to be able to surpass those things and then still have a successful career, like accomplishing something like making an ad that made it to the Super Bowl, like that's a pretty big deal, I guess, when you think about it in retrospect. Like I definitely didn't think I would have a career at all. So to go from thinking that to accomplishing something so big, is definitely eye opening. But the struggle is just, especially specifically modeling. My main emotional struggle is being true to myself, because that's a big deal to me. I said it from the day I first started modeling. I went on my first go see and it was terrible. I cried. I spent a day going around Los Angeles. I think I was like 17 or 18 years old. I came to Los Angeles, spent an entire, weekend and that week going around on go sees and stuff. And the very first time I went, they call you into they let you just sit in the lobby. They take your images, a room of you just sitting in silence, and they come out, throw the images back on the table. They don't even hand them back to you directly. It's very cutthroat. And if your photo is sitting there on the table, you're free to go. Like, bye. We don't want to hear anything else from you. And, if they have a couple images in their hand, they, hey, can we come see you in the back? And I just remember the way it was done and how cruel and cold the process was. And they just left all of us still remaining men and women sitting there, some young, some old, and you're just like, dang, like it's like that. Like they don't even speak to you. They don't even tell you, hey, this is what you should work on, or thank you, come again, nothing. And that kind of stuff will break you. And a lot of models have told me very terrible things that they do in order to maintain their physique and their mentality. And so from that moment on, I knew, like, I'm not changing myself physically for anybody, emotionally, spiritually, nothing. Like, I'm going to be Jasmine full through and through. And if they don't like it, they'll, well, if I miss work, oh well. And so far, it's been nothing but a propeller, for
Mhm.
me to kind of um, get better work because of my personality and because of the person that I am. So that's one thing I definitely learned is being true to myself. It was never a bad choice. It's always been the right choice. And so I try to now being in the model industry so long, when people ask me these questions and stuff, I try to now let girls know, like, I've met so many people doing weird stuff. Girl was told me she was eating cotton balls and orange juice. And I'm like, you can't even digest cotton balls. So the fact that mentally you would do something like that in order to pursue this career and to maintain a physique, like that's sick. And so it's very important to me to spread that message and to like remain true. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's been like my main obstacle is trying to fight that.
Yeah.
People try to change you in this industry all the time, and they don't like when you're yourself.
Yes, I get a lot of comments or hesitation. It seems to be mostly around self-confidence, around image, and
Mhm.
just out exterior looks. And this is a very
Yeah,
judgmental world of modeling. Has very much so to do with how you physically look, and not necessarily that you're attractive, but just
right.
that you fit the look of the role
Exactly.
that you're submitting to.
Yeah.
So, on that note, I'm glad you brought that up. What are some things that you've done or that you can suggest to others to help uplift and bring out that confidence?
Yeah, for sure. Um, well, one thing I like to do is not be afraid to speak on set. It took me a long time to get comfortable because when you show up, a lot of times everyone's silent, at these modeling jobs. You show up, there's tons of models, but they're all feeling the same way you're feeling. There's a
Mhm.
couple, stragglers in there that have this, just shell, and kind of brick wall confidence where they're going to be doing their own thing anyway. But then the rest of us, who are just kind of chilling and figuring this out and want to feel comfortable in the room with other people, we're totally down and open to, hey girl, how are you? Just like a icebreaker, take the pressure off. And those are like the best experiences that I've had on set when I allowed myself to kind of just let my hair down and not stress and feel that pressure. But it takes a lot of self-work, because that little voice in your head is never going to stop, you know what I mean? And you have to just kind of block it out and look, I'm going to do it, I'm going to be all right. And put your big girl pants on. So yeah, that's definitely one of my approaches is um being open to speaking to the other ladies, even if it's just small talk, kind of loosen yourself up. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because they're there to help. The staff wants to help. The people on set want to help. They want you to be comfortable. And as much as it feels like that dark looming cloud over you, a lot of times that's not it. It's just that internal feeling that makes you feel that way. So yeah, speak out, use your resources. There's a lot of people that are there and open to help and talk. So utilize that for sure. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
especially for the younger models because it's hard to have that confidence and to be able to speak up for yourself. So Yeah, the newer models for sure utilize the people around you.
Outside of confidence, another major concern, a lot of models are they have a little bit of fear of their own safety,
Mhm.
just traveling to different locations, either they're
Yeah,
going out of state or just to maybe a photographer's studio, or
yeah.
just being in new situations that they've never been before, not sure if someone's being honest with you. All these things start to come up. What are some tips or advice you can give around keeping yourself safe in this industry?
Yeah, most definitely. I had one scary situation like that where I wasn't sure about someone, and it turned out to be true that he was a creep. And in those situations, one of the things that I like to say is if you're meeting with photographers and their team or whoever it is, or supposed team, make sure you're meeting in a public place. You're not just going somewhere you don't have any clue. You don't, of course, there are certain situations where it's inappropriate for you to bring people with you because that's not professional all the time. But if it's something, where we're doing trade for print or we're booking this together, you can bring in a friend, an assistant, someone that help you feel comfortable. But if it's something where you're being hired, then a lot of times that's, like I said, not an appropriate um, route to go. So you just have to be very wary. Pay attention to the signs. A lot of times it'll be in the conversation that you're having with the person, red flags. Um, but yeah, where you're meeting for sure is a huge indicator. And like I said, if you're that uncomfortable or things aren't looking right, bring someone with you, at least just for the intro, the break the ice and see, all right, this is okay. Um, Send your information, send photos, send, whatever it is that will help other people know your whereabouts, and vet the company out, vet the photographer out, look up, search their name, do any Google. I also would like to search Twitter and Instagram and see if there's any comments or anything that comes up regarding them, because unfortunately, there's a photographer who I was supposed to have worked with in the Bay Area, never made it to work with them because of distance. And he actually turned out to have a very bad reputation. And I was like, wait, his name, like that looks familiar. I follow that guy on Instagram. His work is great. And there's a ton of women that complain and complain and complain about him in weird situations and harassment, and it's just not okay to put yourself in that situation knowingly, so definitely pay attention to the signs because they're there, if I would look back at, I don't even know, I was probably like 19, 20 years old when I had this situation with that guy, and looking back through like the messages and the conversation and like where he wanted to do his shoots and stuff, I'm like, all right, it makes perfect sense, so yeah, you just have to be wary, and if you're not sure about the conversation and ask someone, get an opinion, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people are doing freelance work. You don't need as much, studios. You don't need as many men and women involved. Now you and I can just link and do work together,
Right.
because you're a great artist. I'm a great artist. We don't need the middlemen anymore. And now social media is a huge thing. There's so many things that people are doing now. So yeah, we just have to be very careful. Do your
Absolutely.
homework. Hmm.
Yes. So, not to mention that everything you've been doing, you've done this all on your own as a freelance model without an agency. So,
Yeah,
again, congrats on your hustling spirit and
yeah.
keeping yourself above water.
Very
Um,
stressful. Yeah,
tell our audience, where can they find you? Before I ask my last question, like,
for
what's your
sure.
social media? How can people get in contact with you? All that.
For sure. You guys can find me on Instagram at AYEYO AYEYO Jazz. And I'm trying to get my feet wet with TikTok. So you guys can also check me out there. My website, ayojazz.com. And yeah, just check me out. Look for any new, work that I'm going to be doing. Um, I have a lot of stuff coming up, so I'm really excited about that. So I'll definitely keep you guys tuned, keep you tuned in and posting. Yeah,
And I look forward to seeing all of your progress in the near future as well. So, my last question for you today is if you had to boil it all down to just one thing, what would you say is the secret to a successful modeling career?
Secret to creating a successful modeling career, if I had to pick one thing, um, I would definitely say, consistency for sure, because, you can be yourself or you can be someone else, you can do all of that stuff, but if you're not consistent, it's not gonna get to anyone, it's not gonna reach the masses. You're not gonna be putting in the amount of effort that you could have been, whether you're being yourself or someone else. So, at the end of the day, I think the cliche statement about consistency is very true. There's people that have passed me that I should have surpassed many years ago based on my career, that because of their consistency are now where I want to be. And I'm probably that person for other people. So yeah, if you continue to push and put yourself out there and do the work, is the work has to be done, but it's hard. You'll be straight. You'll get eventually those gaps in between the goals that you're trying to reach, and that distance will shorten, and you'll get closer. Then that goalpost is met. Now you have a new goalpost to meet. So yeah, staying consistent.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for your time. I
Of
appreciate you doing this
course.
interview with us today. And I hope that we can actually connect in person again next
I
time I'm in
know we got
town.
some shooting to do.
Yes. So I will be in contact with you. And again, thanks for being here.